Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Capitol Center. We're getting you set for another presentation of men's basketball here on the Capitol Sports Network. I'm Charlie Danis. I'll be bringing you the action today from Bexley, Ohio. Men's basketball matchup. It'll be a battle of the purple, if you will, as Mount Union, the Purple Raiders, have come to town to take on the Capital Crusaders. Welcome into the Jimmy John's pregame show, everyone. The men's team coming off of a recent win over Heidelberg. They had to go to Heidelberg on Wednesday night, and they triumphed over the Berg 59-53. Leading all scorers for Capital was Tyrell Jackson, who had 17 points on 7 of 15 shooting from the field. Also 1 of 4 from three-point range and 2 of 3 from the foul line. Tyler Jamison had a bounce-back game, meanwhile, for Capital. He had been quiet the last couple of games, but he came back in a big way. 15 points to go along with 6 rebounds, 7 of 8 from the field, and 1 of 4 from the foul line as well. Capital didn't shoot at a great clip in this game against Heidelberg. They only shot 39% from the field, but because of some good defense and some timely shots at the end of the game, they were able to pull out the victory over Heidelberg. In fact, they outscored the Student Princes 35-22 in the second half, so I'm sure that played a big part in that win over Heidelberg. So now Capital has to turn the page. They're going to look to try to make it 2 straight wins here against a Mount Union squad that, hey, let's be honest here, has been a year-in, year-out contender within OAC men's basketball. They are led by DeAllen Jackson, one of the top scorers in the OAC. Jackson comes into today's matchup averaging 20.4 points per game, one of the best foul shooters, one of the best three-point shooters. In fact, get this, folks, he is shooting an astronomical 52% from three-point range, 42 of 81 from beyond the arc. It'll be very, very important for Capital to keep their eyes on Jackson, who's also supported by another prominent scorer on this team for this Mount Union squad. That would be J.J. Kakura. Kakura averaging 18.2 points per game. Like Jackson, he is very good shooting the ball from the free throw line. Not as prolific a three-point shooter as Jackson. In fact, he has actually launched more three-point attempts than Jackson this season, but Kakura only shooting a mere 33% from that spot on the floor. But Kakura is one of those guys that somehow, some way, finds a way to get to the bucket. Are we going to have another track meet like we did the other day against John Carroll? We will just have to see. We're just getting started here on the Jimmy John's pregame show. When we come back, we'll take a look around the Ohio Athletic Conference. How's the conference shaking up here as we have practically reached the middle part of January? We'll tell you that and much more as we continue here on the Jimmy John's pregame show.
This is a message for the nurses among us, for those who don't accept lives, for those who are driven to improve care, and for those who are taught that it's broken, how to see the benefit of the entire healthcare system. Travel resources and education programs have been provided, teachers have been taken over security, and top nurses are learning from training to better represent the organization. Folks also at Capital University and healthcare budgets are lower.
Is my latest Jimmy John's online ordering announcement, sir?
Really?
Yes, sir. You know our popular Jimmy John's online ordering service?
Yes, click on it.
This is the perfect time-saving companion. Presenting the Jimmy John's F4000 three-dimensional sandwich printer.
Oh, boy.
So they put one of these babies on the home of every Jimmy John's customer. They order the sandwich online, and they send the sandwich to the F4000 and make their sandwich.
How much does one of these babies cost?
With the quantity discount, $50,000, sir.
How long does it take to print a sandwich?
About 8 hours, sir.
Is there any deal with this?
Should I put it on board?
No, stay right on board with it.
With 14 TVs to watch your favorite team or the next big event, Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria in German Village is ready for you and your group today. Plenty of free parking, free Wi-Fi, banquet rooms for private parties, and daily specials. What more reason do you need to visit Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria? Plank's is located at 743 Parsons Avenue and has been serving the Columbus community since 1939. Plank's is on the web at plankscafe.com or available by phone at 614-443-6251. Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria is a proud supporter of Crusader Athletics. Dill's Greenhouse is a local family business dedicated to offering the best shopping experience and honest prices for your gardening needs. If you're in need of annuals, perennials, vegetable plants, or any variety of gardening tools and resources, Dill's Greenhouse is more than happy to get you on the right path. Dill's Greenhouse is located at 5800 Rager Road in Groveport, Ohio, and is open 7 days a week. Visit them online for more information at dillsgreenhouse.net. Dill's Greenhouse. Only nature does it better.
Welcome back to the Jimmy John's pregame show, getting you set for today's men's basketball matchup between Mount Union and Capital. And speaking of those two teams, well, they're a part of the Ohio Athletic Conference, so let's take a look around the OAC. This OAC update brought to you by Jersey Mike Subs and Sandwiches. Well, heading into play today, here's what the standings look like around the OAC. We got a three-way tie atop the conference. Marietta, John Carroll, and Ohio Northern are all 5-2 within conference play. There's also a slew of teams in the middle with equal 4 and 3 marks. Those would belong to Muskingum, Capital, and Mount Union. Two of those three teams, by the way, meeting at the Capital Center this afternoon. Otterbein at 3 and 4, Baldwin Wallace and Heidelberg both at 2 and 5, and then Wilmington, they bring up the rear in the standings. They are 1 and 6. Let's now take a look at the games that will be taking place around the OAC, and this is the part of the season where you start to get into the meat grinder portion, where separation becomes apparent between the contenders and the pretenders, as they like to see. A couple of games starting at 2 o'clock this afternoon. John Carroll will play host to Wilmington. Ohio Northern, they will be on the road. They will be taking on the Muskies at Muskingum. And then a couple of games that will tip off at 3 o'clock, so later on today. Baldwin Wallace playing host to Otterbein. Heidelberg making the trek down to Marietta, facing off against the Pioneers, one of those three teams that are tied atop the OAC standings. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the Capital Corner, brought to you by the Rusty Bucket. We're getting set for today's men's matchup between Mount Union and Capital. The women's team, meanwhile, they are up in Alliance, getting set to take on the Purple Raiders. The women's team might have had their most impressive win the other night on Wednesday night, as they were able to defeat Heidelberg by a final of 69-53. Emily Ondo led the Crusaders in scoring in that one. She went 7 of 10 from the field, 4 of 4 from the foul line, also had 4 rebounds and 4 assists. She ended up totaling 18 points on the night for Capital, but the real story was the dynamic duo of the Watchman sisters, Annika and Ellie, doing work for Capital on Wednesday night. Ellie, 17 points, 7 rebounds, shot 6 of 11 from the field, and a perfect 5 of 5 from the foul line. Her sister Annika was equally impressive, 10 points, 9 rebounds, almost had a double-double. If she had gotten one more rebound on the night, also had 3 assists, she shot 5 of 8 from the field. So the Watchman sisters, along with the impressive efforts of Emily Ondo, who continues to really grow, continues to be that go-to scorer for Capital, if you really think about it. That combination propelled Capital to a much-needed win, defeating Heidelberg 69-53. As a team, Capital shot 48% from the field. And by the way, this was a game in which they didn't launch a single three-point shot. You really have to hand it to the Crusaders in this day and age, where the three-point shot is becoming more and more important, both on the men's and women's side. Capital kind of turned back the clock a little bit. They were able to pound Heidelberg inside, outscoring the Berg 34-20 in the paint. Also had 15 second-chance points as opposed to only 3 for Heidelberg. So congrats to Dixie Jeffers' crew. Again, they're on the road today, taking on Mount Union. Their game is going to be tipping off at 3 o'clock later this afternoon. Before we go to commercial break, folks, I want to pass along this interesting bit of news. Now, over the holiday break and to start the new year, Capital Athletics, they've been busy bringing fans of the purple and white more ways to enjoy Crusader athletic events online. Through its broadcasting partner, Boxcast, fans can now enjoy an audio-only version of home broadcasts, as well as the ability to watch home Cap events with video on Facebook via Facebook Live. Fans may have seen Cap Athletics beta testing these new technologies, brought to you by our friends at Foxcast over the last couple of weeks. Cap Athletics now proud to announce that these will be regular features that fans can partake in if you are looking to expand your experience following the purple and white. The audio-only version of Capital Home Broadcast will take any commentary provided on the video feed and provide an audio feed exclusively. This will provide fans the ability to stream coverage via their mobile device or online at lower data consumption rates, or at times in which watching video is not possible. You can listen to your Crusaders at the office, at home, in the car, or wherever you are on the go, as a matter of fact. Now, fans, you may still follow Capital Athletic events with streams that are provided on the athletic website. That would be athletics.capital.edu, where links to the normal feed and the audio-only feed can be found. Links are always posted on our Twitter feed, which is @CapCrusaders, with results posted on Twitter and Facebook after the conclusion of the event. And one last thing, fans, you can also enroll in the text message update program, which was launched earlier this year as well. You can simply click here or on the athletic website. You can go to athletics.capital.edu/list sign up and select which list you would like to enroll in. The service is free, and you can manage your subscription to add or remove lists as you go. So, bottom line, folks, more and more opportunities to listen to Cap Athletics action, to watch Cap Athletics action. What's not to like if you're a fan of the purple and white? When we come back, we'll go ahead and set the table for both Capital and Mount Union. Both teams warming up here at the Capitol Center. Purple Raiders and Crusaders getting set for some men's basketball here in Bexley. You're listening to the Jimmy John's pregame show.
When looking for great food at low price, be sure to visit Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital University campus. Peking Dynasty has a large selection of Chinese food and sushi, along with great-tasting chicken and beef selections that can please any appetite. In addition, Capital University students receive discounts with a valid ID any day of the week. That's Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital campus, where we are proud to say, Go Cap!
Where's Greatest Square Sandwich? It's speaking.
Yes, I need a sandwich delivery right away.
What kind of sandwich?
I don't care, just get it to 215 Elm Street right now.
Army ROTC is one of the best leadership courses in the country and can be a part of your college curriculum. As a potential or current student at Capital University, learning to become a leader will make your college experience even richer and prepare you for the future. Capital Army ROTC can provide scholarships and many more benefits to those who enroll, but the biggest benefit will be experienced firsthand after joining. For more information on Capital Army ROTC, testimonials, and an in-depth look at what the program can offer you, go to www.capital.edu/ROTC.
Welcome back to the Jimmy John's pregame show. It's now time to set the table for Capital men's basketball. This is brought to you by Pepsi. Live for now. Well, the Crusaders, as we mentioned at the top of the pregame show, coming off of a win against Heidelberg. They defeated Heidelberg on Wednesday night 59-53. And one of the big reasons why Capital was able to come up with the victory over the Berg that night was improved play by Tyler Jamison. We have been raving about the play of this young freshman. Jamison has been a double-double machine for much of the year. Last couple of games before the win over Heidelberg, he had been relatively quiet offensively. Had only 4 points at Wilmington back on the 4th, followed by only 2 points against John Carroll. Only played 9 minutes in that John Carroll game, but he came back with a strong performance against Heidelberg. He had 15 points on 7 of 8 shooting from the field. He was shooting 88% from the field, to be more specific. Also grabbed 6 rebounds as well. Jamison figures prominently into the future of this Capital men's basketball program. He will be there in the post for Capital for years to come. Another guy that might be his partner in crime, so to speak, in the post in the not-too-distant future is Caleb Cox. Cox came alive with that electrifying performance he had against John Carroll, in which he came off the bench. His first game coming back from injury this year. And what does he do? Well, he drops 30 points. Now, Cox, after that great game against John Carroll, didn't have such a great game when it came to scoring the ball against Heidelberg. He was 0 of 8 from the field, but he did manage to grab 7 rebounds. You have to imagine that with a guy like Cox, he's still trying to feel his way back from injury, trying to get back into the groove of things, so to speak. But we have seen in the past when Cox gets it rolling, especially offensively, he's virtually unstoppable down there on the block. If you combine that with the continuing improvement of Tyler Jamison, I think Capital might have that dynamic duo in the post for years to come. And trust me, in a league where rebounding is very, very important, where creating second and third chances offensively is equally important, having 2 guys like Caleb Cox and Jamison down there on the low block will certainly be an asset for Capital. This is a relatively big game for Capital today, by the way. We talked about the standings in the OAC, and right now Capital finds themselves right there in the middle of the pack, tied with Muskingum and Mount Union for 4th place within the OAC standings. Now, Grant, there's still a lot of basketball left to be played, but if Capital wants to have a chance at a bye, let's just say, in the OAC tournament, if they want to keep hope alive for a potential OAC regular season championship, which would be a big deal for this program, you have to be able to come out with wins against programs like Mount Union. Marietta is fast approaching on the schedule as well, and you just hope that Capital learned from that experience against John Carroll, where they did a great job scoring the ball. But if you get into a track meet like John Carroll, you also have to be able to play defense at some point, something that Capital came up short in that particular game. Maybe this could be the start of the big run for Capital as they try to keep that idea of an OAC regular season title alive. Trust me, beating teams like Mount Union really helps out that cause. Quick commercial break. When we come back, we will talk about Capital's opponent today, Mount Union. They're loaded offensively. We'll tell you how loaded offensively they are and why they're so good offensively when we come back from this quick break.
I wanted to fly. They said I couldn't. So I built a plane, then a spaceship, then I went to the moon. I invented jazz, hip-hop, rock and roll. Some called it noise. I said it was music. I wrote a letter and sent it by ponies. It didn't get to you fast enough, so I used trucks and ships. But still, they weren't fast enough for me. So I lost the paper and the ink. I sent it by magic. I called it email. I made up new words: jukebox, bling, Google. And I decided some old words weren't okay to say ever again. The mustache. I tried to bring that back 17 times. I wore knickerbockers and shoulder pads, poodle skirts and flannel. When I came back from World War II, all I had was a t-shirt. So I made that cool. In fact, I invented cool. Who am I? I'm the spirit of youth. It's my job to move the world forward. Pepsi. Every generation refreshes the world.
Welcome back to the Jimmy John's pregame show. It's now time to set the table for Capital's opponent today, Mount Union. This is brought to you by Capital Dining Services. Well, it doesn't take a numbers expert to know that Mount Union has been getting it done offensively. They're averaging 80 points a game, and it helps when you have 2 standout scorers like De'Allen Jackson and J.J. Kakura. Jackson averaging 20.4 points per game this year. Also has been very good on the glass, averaging just under 8 rebounds a game. But perhaps the most impressive thing about Jackson this year has been his three-point shooting. He is shooting 52% from three-point range. And believe it or not, that's only good for 4th within the OAC, which is pretty amazing. It speaks to the great perimeter play that the OAC has to offer. Still, 52% is pretty doggone impressive. Jackson's 20.4 points per game is best within the OAC. He has a teammate that is 3rd best in the OAC when it comes to scoring the basketball, and that would be J.J. Kakura. Kakura averaging 18.2 points per game. Also averages a little under 6 rebounds per game. Not as prolific a three-point shooter as Jackson, but he will hoist them from time to time. Jackson, Kakura, they're the dynamic duo for Mount Union. But another player to watch out for today, the 3rd leading scorer for Mount Union. Let's see here. This would be Andrew Francisconi. Francisconi is mainly a bench player for Mount Union, but he has been averaging 8.4 points per game. He will shoot the three-pointer every once in a while. He's shooting nearly 50% from the field as well. So Francisconi is a bench player to watch out for. 2 other players to watch out for today. A starter, Nathan Bauer Malone. He is a freshman guard out of Stowe, Ohio, averaging just under 8 points a game. An excellent free throw shooter, 31 of 34 from the foul line this year, good for 91%. And finally, Tomby Stanger. Stanger, a 6'3" sophomore out of North Canton, Ohio, averaging 7.6 points per game. Another one of those three-point shooters, many three-point shooters that Mount Union has to offer basketball-wise as a team. The Purple Raiders are shooting 39% from three-point range. As a team, they are shooting 45% from the field. It's going to be very, very important for Capital to lock down on that perimeter and to have a lot of contested shots for Mount Union, because if you leave these guys wide open, they can kill you from downtown. When we come back, we'll have the keys to today's game. What will it take for Capital to get a big win here today against Mount Union this afternoon? I'll have what are my keys to the game and much more as we continue to roll along here on the Jimmy John's pregame show.
OSU Sports Medicine is a proud supporter of Crusader student-athletes by providing sports health services for Capital University athletics and student health services. Through the work and care of team physicians and athletic trainers, it's the team behind your team. For all fans, if you're looking to improve your physical performance, recover from an injury, or stay active for a lifetime, the experts at Ohio State Sports Medicine are there for you. Visit sportsmedicine.osu.edu or call 366-4332. The Rusty Bucket Restaurant and Tavern in downtown Bexley is the perfect spot for eats and drinks for parents, kids, college students, and grandparents. Whether you're gearing up for your favorite team's game or just in need of something delicious off of our diverse food and drink menu, the Rusty Bucket delivers a warm welcome and a good time for all. The Rusty Bucket is located at 2158 East Main Street, or you can find us and our many other Columbus area locations online at myrustybucket.com. The Rusty Bucket, proud supporter of Capital Crusader Athletics. Just as fresh as its pizza, Donato's is fresh off of its 50th anniversary and still serving the Columbus area with pride. Now introducing online ordering, Donato's Pizza is ready for your order at any time from anywhere. Donato's also features a gluten-free menu and will even cater your next big event. Donato's Pizza in Bexley is located at 2800 East Main Street and is available by phone at 614-235-4477. Donato's Pizza, proud supporter of Capital Crusader Athletics.
This is a message for all those ROI seekers out there. The junior executive at the senior, the VP of the CEO. For everyone who never job not just a profession, but a passion. Capital University's online programs have exclusively for professionals, experienced faculty, flexible schedules, investments, and focused requirements.
Welcome back to the Jimmy John's pregame show. We're inching closer and closer to tip-off between Mount Union and Capital, getting set for some men's basketball here at the Capital Center. It's now time for today's Keys to the Game, brought to you by the Marriott Columbus Airport. Well, my first key of the afternoon for Capital is going to be their defense, particularly on the perimeter. Let me list off some of the shooting percentages from three-point range for Mount Union. De'Allen Jackson, 52%. 33% for J.J. Kakura. 31% for Francisconi. Also, 43% for Tommy Stanger. 42% for Miles Griffin. That tells me that Mount Union has a lot of guys that knows how to line it up from the perimeter and knock them down from downtown. It's going to be very important for Capital to not allow open shots along the three-point range, give a lot of contested shots, and also be ready for those weird, funky balls that take a weird hop off of the hoop, especially on a miss of three-point range. You have to be aware of where the ball is standing, because this actually leads into my second point. Second chance and third chance opportunities are going to be huge in this game. It's going to be very important for guys like Caleb Cox and Tyler Jamison to have big games rebounding the basketball and then getting them out to their more speedier athletic teammates like Dan Hobble, like G. Yahaya. Rebounding is going to play a huge, huge role in this game. Whoever is better on the glass is going to win this game, I believe, by a wide margin. Let's hope that Capital brought their Windex cleaners today, because they're going to need to clean the glass all afternoon long. And finally, my third key of the day, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Joey Weingarter, or is it going to be Tyrell Jackson? Capital needs one of those two guys to step up and be the guy to knock down three-pointers, to get a bucket when they need it. Those two need to set the tempo in this game, set the tone in this game, to be more specific. If Tyrell and Joey can get it going, particularly from three-point range, Capital will be in good shape against Mount Union this afternoon. This will conclude the Jimmy John's pregame show. When we come back to the Capital Center, we'll have the national anthem, the starting lineups, and finally the opening tip-off. The Battle of the Purple set to commence here in Bexley. Mount Union versus Capital. You are listening to men's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network.
This is a message for the nurses among us. For those who dream of saving lives. For those who are driven to improve care. And for those who want to talk units broken. Let us see the benefit Chamberlain Retired Hospital System. Chamberlain resources and pains nursing programs are built for you. Teaching medicine, nursing training, and contact nurses when you're not evidence needed. To learn more, visit chamberlain.org/nursing. Advanced Nursing and Capital University. Advancedchamberlain.org.
Let's now send it down to Neil Shapiro, the public address announcer here at the Capital Center.
Please rise for the playing of our national anthem.
Let's now get you today's starting lineups. These are brought to you by Dill's Greenhouse. Only nature does it better. First, the starting five for the Purple Raiders of the University of Mount Union. At forward will be the 6'5" junior from Alliance, Ohio, number 0, Thomas Mason. At guard will be the 5'10" freshman from Stowe, Ohio, number 12, Nathan Bauer Malone. Also at guard will be the 6'3" junior from Alliance, Ohio, number 20, J.J. Kakura. Also at guard will be the 6'4" junior from Massillon, Ohio, number 21, Miles Griffin. And finally, rounding out the starting five for the Purple Raiders today will be the 6'2" senior guard from Akron, Ohio, number 31, De'Allen Jackson. The head coach of the Purple Raiders in his 6th season at the helm at Mount Union, Mike Foline. Now the starting five for the Crusaders of Capital University. That guard will be the 6' freshman from Brecksville, Ohio, number 13, Dan Auble. Also at guard will be the 6' sophomore from Centerville, Ohio, number 22, Joey Weingartner. Also at guard will be the 6'2" senior from Dublin, Ohio, number 23, Tyrell Jackson. At forward will be the 6'7" sophomore from Cincinnati, Ohio, number 40, Caleb Cox. And rounding out the starting five for the Crusaders this afternoon will be the 6'6" freshman center from Chillicothe, Ohio, number 45, Tyler Jamison. The head coach of the Crusaders in his 22nd year here at Capital, Damon Goodwin. Both of these teams find themselves right smack dab in the middle of the OAC standings. They are looking to separate themselves from the pack this afternoon as both teams make their way out to the court. Capital wearing their customary white jerseys and shorts with purple striping on the side. The numbers are purple numbers outlined by white. The letters of Capital on the front of the jersey are in white as well. Mount Union, meanwhile, in all purple garb, jerseys and shorts with black and white striping on the side. They have black letters and numbers outlined by white. Opening tip brought to you by Zoe's Cafe. Ball is up. Tip is won by Capital, and we are underway here at the Capital Center. Dan Auble, the freshman guard who has played so well here in his first year at Capital, passes it off to Tyrell Jackson. Now it's in the hands of Weingartner. Back to Auble on the right wing. 15 on the shot clock for good old Dan. Dan will now get it inside to Tyler Jamison. Jamison trying to figure out what to do. Out to Auble for three. Auble misses it, and the rebound is taken by Mount Union. De'Allen Jackson grabbing the rebound for the Purple Raiders. Jackson, the OAC leading scorer heading into play this afternoon. Now it's on the right wing. The ball is, as J.J. Kakura nearly lost it. 14 on the shot clock. Kakura fights his way through, but it's taken away by Tyler Jamison. A steal for Capital. Weingartner, pull up Jay. It's good for Joey Weingartner. 2-0 lead for Capital early on. Not even a minute into today's ball game. Now bringing the ball up the court is Bauer Malone, the freshman out of Stowe, Ohio, Mason. Now over to Jackson. Jackson, top of the arc. It's Jackson on Jackson. And it's blocked by Jamison, but the rebound is taken and converted by Thomas Mason. Tied at 2. 18:41 to play in the first half. Auble will bring it across the timeline, guarded by Bauer Malone. Now it's in the hands of Tyrell Jackson. Jackson, top of the arc. 14 on the shot clock for Tyrell. Tyrell still trying to figure out what to do with the basketball as he will dribble to his right. But now a foul will be called against Tyler Jamison, a moving screen, as he was attempting to get in the way of Miles Griffin. Griffin, the Massillon, Ohio native, will now inbound the ball from the far side. 2-2 ball game between Mount Union and Capital. 18:20 remaining in our first half of play. Mount Union back in the half court offensively. A dribble on the inside by Bauer Malone. Now it's back out to Jackson. Jackson, he's double teamed, being guarded by Auble. Jackson trying to drive. Wild shot. And now a traveling violation is going to be called against Jackson. Excellent defense by Dan Auble. Jackson is 6'2". Auble is, let's just say, a generous 6 foot. So he's going to have his hands full defending Jackson today. But Auble was doing a nice job there of flummoxing Jackson, if you will, while he was attempting to drive the lane. 2-2 game, 17:55 remaining in the first half. Jackson, he's on the left wing, Gets inside to Jamison. Inside to Cox, who has his shot blocked by Kakura. Jackson, DeAllen that is, coming the other way for Mount Union. Kakura now with the ball on the right wing, dribbling to his left, being guarded by Cox. A wide open three now for Griffin. That's no good. And the rebound, let's see here, out of bounds. They're going to give it to Capital. So it's been a physical game so far between these two teams of the Ohio Athletic Conference, Capital and Mount Union. We're tied at 2, 17-26, remaining in the first half. Dan Auble will bring it across half court. Weingartner will now throw it on over to Jackson. Back to Auble on the right wing. Dan with 17 on the shot clock. Bounces it over to Cox. Caleb Cox over to Jackson. Jackson, three-pointer. Tyrell knocks it down from the left wing. 5-2 lead for Capital. 17:05 left to play in the first half. Bauer Malone takes his dear sweet time, bringing it across the timeline before finally passing it off to J.J. Kakura. Kakura loses it. Loose ball on the floor. Auble dives. Now Miles gets it back. A three-pointer now for Jackson. Jackson misses it, and the rebound taken by Tyler Jamison. Auble now across half court, passing off to Jamison. Jamison swinging his right arm around saying, move. Tyrell now over to Auble, inside to Jamison. Jamison on the right block. He's trying to do something. Now he will go back out to Auble. 10 on the shot clock. Dan's got to do something here. Dan dribbling, and he throws it away into the hands of Bauer Malone. Malone races up the floor, and Cox! Oh, that should have been a blocking call right there as Cox got up. Damon Goodwin has both of his hands on his head. He is incredulous at this point. He thought that should have been a clean block right there. But instead, a foul will be called against Cox. So now Bauer Malone, freshman out of Stowe, Ohio, will head to the free throw line. Free throw is up and good for Nathan Bauer Malone, starting guard as a freshman, only 5'10". Cuts the Capital lead to 5-3. Second free throw, no good. Cox with the rebound for Capital. It's a 5-3 ball game. Ball will go out of bounds, and it will go to Mount Union as Weingartner lost it off his foot. So a 5-3 game. Capital leading. Mount Union 16-11 left to play in the first quarter. DeAllen Jackson being guarded by Tyrell Jackson. No relation, I assume. And DeAllen swoops in, doesn't make the shot. It'll go out of bounds, and it will go to Capital. So far, Jackson, the leading scorer in the OAC, off to a slow start offensively. And now Tyrell Jackson will inbound it for Capital. He'll get it into the hands of Dan Auble. Auble averaging 4.9 points per game as he quickly gets it across half court. Tyrell Jackson. Now it's back in the hands of Auble. Now to Weingartner on the right wing. They go inside to Jamison on the right block. Jamison back out to Joey. Joey for three. Joey knocks it down from the right wing. 8-3. Capital with the lead. 15:34 remaining in the first half. DeAllen Jackson near midcourt. The student section is starting to get into it a little bit here with the Capital Center. They'll go inside to Kakura. Kakura trying to back his man down, that being Auble. Kakura twisting, turning, and a reverse layup is good. That's a big example of why J.J. Kakura is one of the top scorers in the OAC. 8-5. Capital with the lead. 15:05 left to play in the first half. Auble to Weingartner. Weingartner over to Jackson. Tyrell swings it back over to Joey. Joey will now go inside to Cox. Cox trying to back his man down. Off the glass and in. Kakura flopped there at the end trying to get a foul call, but there was no call. And Cox was able to score easily. 10-5 Capital. Jackson inside. Spin move. And a made bucket by Thomas Mason. Nice job by Mason, although, boy, it might have looked like double dribbling on that last play. 14:27 left to play in the first half. Capital holding a 10-7 lead over Mount Union. Auble in the corner, inside to Cox. Cox back out. Joey, jumper. That's no good, but Cox with the offensive board had it stripped, and they're going to keep it with Capital. First substitute of the game will be Austin Schreck and also Jaden O'Neill. So Dan Auble and Tyrell Jackson will check out for Capital for right now. Also coming into the game for Mount Union will be Jeff Foreman. And also coming in for Capital's Nate Boone. One last substitution for good note. Jalo Niamki checking in for Mount Union. Jamison receives the inbounds from Schreck. This is almost a completely different starting five for Capital with the exception of Weingartner, who managed to stay in there amid the substitutions. Weingartner skips it on over to Schreck. Schreck on the right wing. Schreck will go to his left. Joey inside to Jamison. Jamison dribbling on in. Jamison had it stripped, but a foul was called on the inside at the last moment. Looks like the foul will go against Jalo Niamki. Niamki, a sophomore out of Sagamore Hills, Ohio. And apparently it was a shooting foul, too. So now Jamison will head to the free throw line. Jamison coming off of a 15-point performance against Heidelberg. First shot, no good for Tyler. A little too strong on that attempt. He'll have one more shot at the foul line, though, to redeem himself. Jamison bounces the ball up and good. Capital 11, Mount Union 7. 13:55 left to play in the first half. It's bounced on over to DeAllen Jackson. Jackson on the right wing. And he's playing hot potato with his teammates before Jamison gets whistled for another foul. He was defending on the play against a slashing Andrew Francisconi, the sophomore out of Talmadge, Ohio. And that's already Jamison's second foul of the game, so he will have to take a seat for right now. Third foul of the half against Capital, only one foul on Mount Union at the moment. So Francisconi will now head to the free throw line. His first shot is good. Cox will check in for Jamison. He will walk to the bench. One more free throw awaiting Andrew Francisconi. Second free throw is up and good. Capital 11, Mount Union 9. 13:40 remaining in the first half. Jaden O'Neill now running the point for Capital. He'll bring it across the timeline. He's being guarded by Jackson. That'll be an interesting matchup to watch going forward. O'Neill now on the right wing after receiving the pass from Weingartner. 16 on the shot clock. O'Neill dribbling around, now bounces it over to Weingartner on the left wing, inside to Nate Boone. Boone, long jumper. Boone not able to connect. And the rebound taken by Jackson. Jackson trying to streak up the floor. Step back, Jay, no good. And the rebound, Kakura, offensive board. It's up and it's in. Ball game now tied at 11 apiece between Mount Union and Capital. 13 minutes left to play in the first half. O'Neill on the right wing. Passes it off to Schreck. Schreck inside. Cox goes on in and scores with the right hand. Caleb Cox with a strong move to the rim. Capital regains the lead, 13-11, 12:45 left to play in the first half. Spinorama in the lane now, and Jeff Foreman has tied the ball game thanks to a pretty move with the left hand, 13-13. 12:33 left to play in the first half at the Capital Center, a back-and-forth affair between the Crusaders and the Purple Raiders. Weingartner, right wing, passing it off to Schreck. Schreck dribbling to his right near the top of the arc. Inside, Cox will go on in and score. Nice find by Schreck. Nice finish by Cox. 15-13 lead for Capital. 12-11 left to play in the first half. DeAllen Jackson, right wing, back outside. Francisconi for three. That's no good. Rebound taken by Capital's Austin Schreck. Schreck cross half court over to Weingartner. Weingartner dribbling to his left as Capital will settle now into its half-court offense. Weingartner will pop a jumper. That's no good. Loose ball, however, is collected by Nate Boone. It's back out to Weingartner. Fresh shot clock for Capital. Schreck on the right wing. Thought about going inside to Weingartner for a moment, but Schreck now dribbling to his left. Back over to O'Neill. 16 on the shot clock. Weingartner, left wing, inside to Boone near the left block. Boone skips it on over to Schreck. Schreck, jumper, foul line, no good. Rebound is taken by Kakura, and Kakura loses it inside to Cox, who finishes at the rim. and Kakura was arguing with one of the officials about how he got bumped on that play, which might have caused him to lose the ball, but no call made. Jumper off the glass and in for Niamki. 17-15, Capital with a lead, 11:03 left to play in the first half. And boy, it has been an entertaining first half, to say the least. Jane O'Neill over to Weingartner. Now it's to Boone. Boone hits a cutting Schreck, and Schreck misses the layup. It rattles in and out. The rebound is taken by Jackson. Kakura will now pop a three, and he'll promptly knock it down. Mount Union claims its first lead of the ball game. 18-17, Mount Union on top of Capital. 10:35 left to play in the first half. O'Neal, cross half court, passes off to Weingartner on the right wing. Joey, top of the arc. Joey, long J, that's no good, way off the mark. Boone, however, gets the offensive board. It's tapped out of bounds, and it will go to Capital off of Jackson. And now a slew of substitutions. Abel, Tyrell Jackson, G. Yahaya, check in for Capital. And so now Jackson will get it into Abel after all the substitutions. Mount Union 18, Capital 17, 10-10 remaining in the first half. Schreck to Boone. Boone back to Schreck. Now over to Abel. Jackson bounces inside, but G was not expecting the pass. A careless turnover there for Capital, and Mount Union gets the ball back. It was just one of those situations where Yahaya was zigging one way, but the pass zagged the other. 9:55 remaining in the first half. Mount Union 18, Capital 17. This is men's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. Tommy Stanger has checked in for the first time for Mount Union as he passes it off, and Niamki not able to get the shot as Boone grabs the rebound for Capital. Tyrell to Abel, extra pass, Schreck for three. Schreck not able to hit it. It goes off the hands of G, out of bounds. They're going to give the ball to Mount Union. Nice effort by G as he was trying to grab the rebound with his left hand that time, but didn't get enough of it to safely secure it. Isaac Davison has also, that's Francisconi out there. Francisconi over to Niamki. Niamki, jumper, that's no good, but Jackson, let's see here. They're saying that it was an air ball, actually. I thought initially that ball went off the hands of Jackson, but Jackson actually did the smart thing and let it roll out of bounds. So they will give the ball to Capital, who trails Mount Union 18-17. 9:13 remaining in the first half. Tyrell Jackson trying to drive. Kick back out to Schreck. Now it's over to Tyrell on the right wing. Back to Schreck now. Back to Jackson. Playing a little hot potato on the right wing there. Jackson and Schreck. 10 on the shot clock. Jackson to Schreck. Back to Jackson. Jackson trying to drive. Step back J for Tyrell. That is woefully short, and Kakura grabs the rebound for Mount Union. Purple Raiders trying to extend their lead. Kakura, step back J. No good. Abel grabs the rebound for Mount Union. Abel over to G, but G lets it slip off of his fingertips. Another turnover for Capital there as Mount Union will get the ball back. And let's see here. Substitution for Capital's Caleb Mitchell will check into the ball game for the Crusaders for the first time today. Also, Nathan Bauer Malone back in there for Mount Union. 18-17, Purple Raiders on top of the Crusaders. Under 8.5 to play in the first half. Bauer Malone trying to drive. Now it's a kick out to Francisconi in the corner. He's being guarded by G. Now it's swung around to Stenger. Stenger loses it, but it is off the glass and good for Niamki. Mount Union 20, Capital 17. 8:05 left to play in the first half. Jackson on the left wing. Over to G. G to Joey Weingartner. Capital's offense is kind of stagnated here. Jackson jumper, that is good. Tyrell Jackson got the shooter's roll that time. Mount Union 20, Capital 19. 7:46 left to play in the first half. Francisconi. Now it's a drive, and Mitchell. Nice defense, but better offense that time by Jeff Foreman, who scores on the driving layup. 22-19, Mount Union with the lead. 7.5 left to play in the first half. Abel to G. Yahaya. Back to Abel. Now over to Weingartner. Weingartner inside the G, but G again not able to read the pass as it heads out of bounds once again. And now a timeout is going to be taken. We'll take a timeout as well. 7:22 left to play in the first half. Mount Union 22, Capital 19. This is your home for Crusaders men's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
With 14 TVs to watch your favorite team or the next big event, Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria in German Village is ready for you and your group today. Plenty of free parking, free Wi-Fi, banquet rooms for private parties, and daily specials. What more reason do you need to visit Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria? Plank's is located at 743 Parsons Avenue and has been serving the Columbus community since 1939. Plank's is on the web at plankscafe.com or available by phone at 614-443-6251. Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria is a proud supporter of Crusader Athletics.
7:22 left to play in the first half. Mount Union with a 22-19 lead over Capital. I'm Charlie Danis. We're so glad that we could have you along for the ride for this presentation of men's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. Bauer Malone. Now it's on over to Foreman. Foreman driving, now kicking to the corner to Stenger. Stenger with a long pass. Francisconi driving. Shot will not count, but he did get fouled on the play. So it looks like he will be heading to the free throw line. Andrew Francisconi, a sophomore out of Talmadge, Ohio. Looking to add to Mount Union's 22-19 lead at this juncture. A little over 7 minutes to play in the first half. First free throw from Francisconi is up, and it is good. One more free throw for Francisconi. Shot is up, and it is good. Mount Union 24, Capital 19. Mount Union starting to pull away here a little bit. As Caleb Cox, he's got 8 points. Can you set the check back in for Capital? But he'll have to wait a little bit. Meanwhile, Tyrell Jackson, he's got to get going here. He's only got 5 points. Tyrell got bumped. Shot will not count. But that was a crafty shooter's move that time by Tyrell Jackson as he was able to coax the foul out of Jeff Foreman. Foreman got caught up in the air. And now Tyrell will earn a trip to the free throw line. Tyrell, a traditionally successful free throw shooter as he knocks his first free throw down. Cox will check back in for Capital as Caleb Mitchell will check out. The lead for Mount Union has been cut to 4. Jackson looking to cut it to 3 with this second free throw. It is up, and it is good for Tyrell. 24-21, Mount Union with the lead. 6:42 remaining in the first half. Bauer Malone brings it across half court. Skips it on over to Francisconi. Now it's in the hands of Stenger. Stenger double teamed, passing out of it. Three-pointer on the way, and that will be knocked down by Bauer Malone. 27-21, Mount Union now with the lead. The lead is to 6, 6:20 remaining in the first half. Jackson to Boone. Boone will pass it on over to Weingartner. Weingartner trying to fight out of a double team, but he has his pocket picked. Here comes Mount Union down the other side. Driving layup, no good, and Jackson grabs the rebound for Capital. A missed layup by Tommy Stenger. Jackson to Boone. Boone thought about a three-pointer. Now he'll drive on in, out of bounds, and they're going to give it to Capital. 18 seconds remain on the shot clock as Jackson will be the trigger man on the baseline. Located on the near side. Jackson gets it in to Cox. Now it's over to Abel. Abel top of the arc. 11 on the shot clock. Jackson on the left wing to Weingartner. Skips it on over to Abel. 5 on the shot clock. Boone with 3 on the shot clock. Boone to Jackson. He'll launch a deep 3. And he will knock it down. Holy cow. That was Steph Curry range right there as Jackson brings Capital to within 3 of Mount Union. That had to be easily 30 feet. Meanwhile, Mount Union looking for a response offensively. Bauer Malone feeds it inside, it's thrown away. Abel with a steal. Abel across half court. Jackson, he's going to drive on in. Jackson misses the shot, but the follow by Weingartner, that's no good. Jackson with another offensive board, however, and Capital is able to maintain this offensive possession. Capital doing a nice job crashing the boards today against a very tall and athletic Mount Union squad. Mount Union 27, Capital 24, 4:47 left to play in our first half. Cox to Weingartner. It's thrown away. It got tipped off of someone's hands, and Mount Union comes away with a steal. Stanger, now he turns it over as the ball got poked from his hands. A steal for Capital. Now Abel, the freshman, trying to calm everybody down in the half court after some very frantic moments between both teams. Weingartner over to Jackson. Jackson for three. That's no good. And the rebound is taken by Mount Union's Jeff Foreman. 4:13 left to play in the first half. Mount Union clinging to a 27-24 lead over Capital. Bauer Malone, and they're going to say Boone bumped him. That'll be the 15th foul on Capital this half. Giahaya, Gavin Wildermuth, and Austin Schreck in for Capital. Coming back in for Mount Union, looks like Kakura, Griffin, and also DeAllen Jackson. Jackson's had a quiet game. In fact, he has yet to score a single point in this ball game. I'm talking about the guy that's leading the OAC in scoring. Bauer Malone barking out signals as he will dribble to his right. Now he'll try to go inside, and blocked by Cox! Cox with the block, and now G trying to come up with a loose ball. And now a timeout's going to be taken by Capital. Whoa, what a play by Caleb Cox. He had to come all the way back, and he blocked the shot of Miles Griffin, who was trying to sneak in there on the baseline, but Cox was having none of it whatsoever. We'll keep things right here at the Capital Center. 3:50 left to play in the first half. Mount Union with a 27-24 lead over the Crusaders. We want to remind you folks, the Rusty Bucket halftime show will be coming up in mere moments. We'll get you caught up with scores around the OAC, take a look at the halftime stats, and much more. A reminder too, the women's team will be in action at Mount Union. Their game will be tipping off in a little over 30 minutes from now. 3 o'clock scheduled tip in Alliance. Abel receives the inbounds from Wildermuth. Mount Union kind of going with a little bit of a press here, but Abel's able to sneak it on in there. The Schreck to get it across the timeline in time. Abel, 12 on the shot clock. Schreck with 10 on the shot clock. Schreck passes it off to G. G over to Wildermuth. Wildermuth over to Abel. Abel for three. Dan knocks it down from the left corner. We're tied at 27. 3:18 left to play in the first half. Dan Abel fighting through some screens and knocking it down from the corner. Oh, what a freshman season he's had. Jackson driving on in. Kakura for three. That's no good. Bauer for the loose ball. Giahaya grabs it for Capital and gets it over to Abel, who almost lost it against Jackson. Abel now driving up the floor. Over to G. G to Abel. Abel near the top of the arc. He's on the left wing. Over to Caleb Cox. Giahaya will drive on in. Over to Wildermuth. Back out to Schreck. 9 on the shot clock. Cox to Wildermuth. Wildermuth gets a guy up in the air. Has his shot blocked. Out of bounds. It'll still remain Capital ball, but they only have 4 seconds to work with on the shot clock. So Abel will now be the trigger man for the baseline. Dan going over his options. Got to get it into someone, and Jackson picks it out of the air. It's fed ahead to Kakura. Kakura has his shot blocked by G, and another block by Gavin Wildermuth on the follow. Wildermuth over to Abel. Abel trying to drive on in, gets it inside to Cox. Cox gets his own rebound. Now another foul is called on the inside. My goodness. The defense, the recovery defense in particular for Capital, has been magnificent today. They are not allowing Mount Union to breathe one iota. Coming in for Capital will be Will Hanna. Giahaya will check out. Tyrell Jackson will now inbound it for the baseline. He'll get it into Hanna. Tie ball game, 27-all between Mount Union and Capital. 2:17 left to play in the first half. Abel motioning with his right arm the play, trying to create some movement here. Abel to Schreck, to Hanna, now to Jackson. 12 on the shot clock. Jackson to Schreck. Now it's over to Abel. Abel on the inside. Cutting Schreck. Schreck trying to get it in there, and he was fouled. Missed the shot, but he was fouled on his way to the 10. So now Schreck will head to the free throw line. Fourteenth foul of the half on Mount Union. Looks like they're going to call the foul. See here as the first free throw is missed. Coming back into the game is Jalo Niamki. So right now it remains a 27-all game between Mount Union and Capital. And speaking of Capital, they'll make a substitution. Jane O'Neill will come in for Dan Abel. Looks like Weingartner will be checking in for Schreck here momentarily. Schreck's second free throw. Good. Capital back on top, 28-27. Schreck will head to the bench. Weingartner will check back in for Capital. Crusaders shooting 40% from the field, 4 of 8 from three-point range this afternoon. And Tyrell Jackson's got 10 points. Cox close behind with 8. Allen Jackson, meanwhile, to Niamki. Niamki back outside. Inside to Jackson. Jackson off the glass and in. Allen Jackson, too talented of a scorer to be held off of the scoreboard. That is his first bucket of the game as Mount Union goes back up 29-28 with a minute 25 left to play in the first half. Three-pointer on the way. Weingartner not able to knock it down and consequently goes over the backboard, which means that they will give the ball right back to Mount Union. Minute 21 left to play in the first half. Capital would love to go into the halftime locker room with the lead here. It's stolen away by Jackson. Jackson will now feed it ahead to O'Neill. O'Neill slows his roll. Now over to Hanna. Back to Jackson. Jackson over to Hanna. Hanna might have had his hand hit that time on the shot. Now a turnover. Weingartner comes away with it for Capital. Weingartner to O'Neill. Back to Weingartner. Boy, the play between these two teams has been helter-skelter, to say the least. To Jackson. Now they try to go inside. Kickball. As they were trying to get it into Cox on the left block. 43.2 seconds to play in the first half. And now Abel will check in for Jane O'Neill. Abel will inbound it from the near side. Still trying to get it in, gets it inside to Cox. Cox has it poked away. It's a turnover as Bauer Malone comes up with it for Mount Union. Let's see here, about a 10-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. 30 seconds and counting. Kakura outside to Griffin. Griffin swoops in, misses the shot. Jackson not able to hit the layup. And now Weingartner grabs it for Capital. He'll get it over to Tyrell Jackson. The shot clock has been turned off. Jackson gets it inside, and he makes the bucket. Capital up by 1. 8 seconds and counting in the first half. They'll feed it ahead. Niamki nearly dropped it. And now it's blocked by Cox. Cox grabs the ball. 1 second. Hanna will hoist it. And it is almost off the backboard and in. What a first half for Capital. They went toe-to-toe with Mount Union in that first half, and they find themselves leading the Purple Raiders 30-29. Coming up, we'll have the Rusty Bucket halftime show. We'll get you caught up with scores around the Ohio Athletic Conference and take a look at the halftime stats from what was a very impressive first half for the Crusaders. Again, Capital leading Mount Union 30-29 at the half. This is your home for Crusaders men's basketball, the Capital Sports Network. Welcome in to the Rusty Bucket Halftime Show. I'm Charlie Danis. At the half, Capital 30, Mount Union 29. A great back-and-forth affair taking place here at the Capitol Center as two teams in the middle of the pack, standings-wise in the OAC, doing battle here today at the Capitol Center. Let's now go ahead and get you updated with some scores around the Ohio Athletic Conference. This OAC scoreboard update is brought to you by Jersey Mike Subs and Sandwiches. As you would expect, a very busy day within the OAC. We have reached the middle part of January, as I mentioned in the pregame show. This is where the contenders start to separate themselves from the pretenders. They're at the half at Muskingum. Ohio Northern leading Muskingum in that one, 49-42. Also another game taking place. John Carroll, team that recently beat Capital. They are leading Wilmington 38-27. They got 3:15 remaining in the first half of that ball game. Coming up later on this afternoon, the women's team for Capital will be in action. They will be at Mount Union today. And that game is scheduled for a 3 o'clock tip, so a little under 30 minutes from now, that game will get started. The women's team will try to build off of that impressive win they had over Heidelberg on Wednesday night as Dixie Jeffers' crew looks to try to elevate themselves in the OAC standings. When we come back, we'll take a look at the stats from the first half of play. Again, Capital leading Mount Union 30-29 at the half. This is the Rusty Bucket Halftime Show.
When looking for great food at low price, be sure to visit Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan right near the Capital University campus. Peking Dynasty has a large selection of Chinese food and sushi, along with great-tasting chicken and beef selections that can please any appetite. In addition, Capital University students receive discounts with a valid ID any day of the week. That's Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan right near the Capital campus, where we are proud to say, Go Cap!
I wanted to fly. They said I couldn't. So I built a plane, then a spaceship, then I went to the moon. I invented jazz, hip-hop, rock and roll. Some called it noise. I said it was music. I wrote a letter and sent it by ponies. It didn't get to you fast enough, so I used trucks and ships. But still, they weren't fast enough for me. So I lost the paper and the ink. I sent it by magic. I called it email. I made up new words: jukebox, bling, Google. And I decided some old words weren't okay to say ever again. The mustache. I tried to bring that back 17 times. I wore knickerbockers and shoulder pads, poodle skirts and flannel. When I came back from World War II, all I had was a t-shirt. So I made that cool. In fact, I invented cool. Who am I? I'm the spirit of youth. It's my job to move the world forward. Pepsi. Every generation refreshes the world.
The Rusty Bucket Restaurant and Tavern in downtown Bexley is the perfect spot for eats and drinks for parents, kids, college students, and grandparents. Whether you're gearing up for your favorite team's game or just in need of something delicious off of our diverse food and drink menu, the Rusty Bucket delivers a warm welcome and a good time for all. The Rusty Bucket is located at 2158 East Main Street, or you can find us and our many other Columbus area locations online at myrustybucket.com. The Rusty Bucket, proud supporter of Capital Crusader Athletics.
Welcome back to the Rusty Bucket Halftime Show. Speaking of halftime, Capital leading Mount Union 30-29 at the half in this presentation of men's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. Let's now go ahead and get you the halftime stats brought to you by Plink's Cafe and Pizzeria. First, the stats for Mount Union. Purple Raiders shot 41% from the field. They were only 2 of 6 from three-point range. Kind of surprising considering that this team was shooting 38% as a team from that part of the floor, but only a mere 33% in the first half, and they were 5 of 6 from the foul line, good for 83%. The leading scorer for Mount Union was not De'Allen Jackson. It was J.J. Kakura. Kakura had 7 points on 3 of 5 shooting. He was also 1 of 2 from three-point range. Thomas Mason and Nathan Bauer-Malone each had 4 points. And also 4 points each for Andrew Francisconi, Jeff Foreman, and Jalo Niamki. But the most surprising score from that first half, De'Allen Jackson only had 2 points to go along with 3 rebounds. He shot 1 of 6 from the field and 0 of 1 from three-point range. You have to think that at some point the light bulb is going to go on for Jackson, and he will get back to being the leading scorer within the OAC. Remember, this is a guy that was averaging a little over 20 points per game heading into play, the best in the Ohio Athletic Conference. So he's not going to be down for long, I would imagine, from a scoring standpoint. Now on to the stats for Capital. Leading scorer for the Crusaders in the first half was Tyrell Jackson, a guy I said in the pregame show that needed to have a big game today in order for Capital to win. Well, he has backed me up so far. Jackson with 12 points on 4 of 7 shooting from the field, 2 of 3 from three-point range, and 2 of 2 from the foul line. 8 points and 4 rebounds for Caleb Cox. He has shot 4 of 5 from the field. He's grabbed 4 rebounds. He also has a couple of blocks in this game. Tyler Jamison with 1 point. Dan Auble with 3. 5 points for Joey Weingartner and 1 point for Austin Schreck. And that is it when it comes to players who have scored for Capital this afternoon. The Crusaders shot 39% from the field, 4 of 10 from three-point range, good for 40%, and 4 of 6 from the foul line. Other statistics of note. I talked about how rebounding would play a key role in this game. Well, so far, Capital is winning the battle on the boards. They have out-rebounded Mount Union in this game so far, 22-11, with 8 of those rebounds coming on the offensive side for Capital. That's allowed them to have this 1-point lead at the half, creating second and third chances on offense. Also some timely blocks as well. 2 blocks by Caleb Cox, 1 by G. Ahaya in that first half of play. I'll tell you what, Mount Union's bench, they have kept them in this ball game. Mount Union outscoring Capital's bench in that first half 12-1. Other than that, the teams seem to be pretty neck and neck in terms of other key statistics. I will point out one thing. Capital had 10 turnovers in that first half. That number is going to need to come down a little bit for Capital. Now, a lot of those turnovers was kind of miscommunications in the half court. G. Ahaya was struggling a little bit today, receiving some passes, but I'm sure G will try to turn up here in the second half, try to send a throw in the crowd. Hey, maybe, just maybe, he can get on down the lane and slam it home for 2. You just never know. Both teams back onto the floor, warming up, getting set for the second half. While we have a moment, folks, this is something that I talked about in the pregame show, but it bears mentioning. Now, you all know that we are trying our best to bring you Capital Athletics in the most convenient way possible through our broadcasting partner, Boxcast. Fans, they can enjoy an audio-only version of home broadcasts as well as the ability to watch home cap events with video on Facebook via Facebook Live. We were testing things out a little bit to see what worked, what didn't work, what could improve the experience of watching and listening to Capital Athletics. And we are very happy to say that these new technologies that we've been experimenting with, well, they will be regular features in the ways that fans can partake in all experiences colored purple and white. All home events, as you know, are being streamed online. They are now also being fed into Facebook and streamed via Facebook Live, so that just gives you another platform to watch and to listen to Capital Athletics. Fans may still follow Capital Athletic events with streams that are provided on the Athletic website. That'd be athletics.capital.edu. If you're into Twitter, hey, we always have links that are always posted to our Twitter feed. That would be @CapCrusaders. The results are posted on Twitter and Facebook after the conclusion of every event as well. And one last thing, fans can also enroll in the text message update program, which was launched earlier this year. You can simply go to athletics.capital.edu/list sign up and select which lists you would like to enroll in. The service by the way, is free. What's better than free? Nothing. And you can manage your subscription to add or remove lists as you go. When we come back, we'll have the start of the second half here at the Capitol Center. And if it's anything like the first half, boy, we ought to be in for an exciting conclusion here at the Capitol Center. At the half, it is Capital 30, Mount Union 29. You're listening to men's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network.
Jimmy John's world's greatest gourmet sandwich is Ed speaking.
Yes, I need a sandwich delivery right away.
What kind of sandwich?
I don't care. Just get it to 215 Elm Street right now.
I'm on my way! Malcolm, sir, here's your sandwich. By the way, did you know your house is on fire? That's why I called Joe John's. Fire makes you hungry? No, I want to do this. We're going to need more than 2 guys, sir. You're right, put it up. Leave it to me, sir. Hey, bro, sir, deliver when you get to 215 home. Doesn't matter what kind of sandwich, sir. I'll explain later. Thank you, sir. Jimmy John's. Sir, did you know your house is on fire? Is that right? Jimmy John's. Sir, did you know your house is on fire? Jimmy John's. Sir, did you know this is on fire? Jimmy John's. Sir, did you know this is on fire? Sir, did you know you're so good? Get your Here's a sandwich. Thanks, but time is something. Sure. Why don't you grab the fire department first? I did.
With 14 TVs to watch your favorite team or the next big event, Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria in German Village is ready for you and your group today. Plenty of free parking, free Wi-Fi, banquet rooms for private parties, and daily specials. What more reason do you need to visit Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria? Plank's is located at 743 Parsons Avenue and has been serving the Columbus community since 1939. Plank's is on the web at plankscafe.com or available by phone at 614-443-6251. Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria is a proud supporter of Crusader Athletics.
Welcome back to the Capitol Center. In mere moments, we will begin action here in the second half. What an exciting first half it was. As both teams retake the floor, Capital leads Mount Union 30-29. At the start of play, both of these teams find themselves in the middle of the OAC standings. They are trying to further their cause of possibly winning an OAC regular season title. Both teams tied with Muskingum for fourth at 4-3 within conference play. At the beginning of play, by the way, we had a three-way tie for first place. Marietta, John Carroll, and Ohio Northern all 5-2 within the conference. Let's get it on here in the second half. Mount Union will start with the ball offensively. Jackson drives on in and scores. And so promptly, DeAllen Jackson goes to work offensively, and promptly Mount Union regains the lead, 31-30. Not even 20 seconds into the second half. Abel, he's on the right wing. He'll be going over his options here as he passes it off to Weingartner. Weingartner now dribbling to his left near the top of the arc. He'll get it over to Tyrell Jackson. 10 on the shot clock. Jamison trying to back his man down on the left block. Outside to Cox, back out to Weingartner for three. Julie knocks it down. Oh, beautiful ball movement. Inside-out basketball at its finest. And Capital regains the lead, 33-31. Jackson on the left wing. DeAllen Jackson trying to drive against Tyrell. Now a three-pointer on the way for Griffin, and Griffin knocks that one down from the corner. Mount Union 34, Capital 33. This might be a preview of what we might have in store here in the second half. Both teams trading buckets. Abel, top of the arc. Bouncing it over to Jamison. Jamison to Abel. Abel will try to drive on in. Kicks it over to Jackson. Pump fake by Tyrell. Now over to Abel. Abel for three. Dan knocks it down from the corner. Capital 36. Mount Union 34. Both teams have come out guns a-blazing offensively here in the second half. 18:25 left to play in the second half. Capital 36, Mount Union 34. Is swung to Kakura. Kakura will now try to drive off the glass and in for Kakura. Tied at 36. Abel receives the inbounds from Weingartner. Abel, top of the arc. He will drive to his left. Abel now going over his options. Swings it over to Weingartner. Weingartner to Cox. Now they go inside. Jamison gets free and scores with the right hand. 38-36. Capital back up by two. And now Griffin heading up the point guard duties. Kakura drives on in, drops it off, and the layup is converted by Thomas Mason. Boy, both teams have come out here with a purpose offensively. Tied at 38 between Capital and Mount Union. Jackson, now it's over to Abel, swung around to Joey. Left wing, Jamison. Back out to Jackson. Jackson for three. Tyrell misses it, and the rebound is taken by DeAllen Jackson. Jackson, boy, might have gotten away with a double dribble right there. Lost the ball, and now a foul is called against Capital. Boy, Jackson just looked to be out of all sorts that time. But somehow he'll be heading to the free throw line. DeAllen Jackson. He is a 6'2" senior from Akron, Ohio, went to Hoban High School. First free throw for Jackson is good. This high school, Hoban, recently winning another state football championship. And a decently talented team, too. Their running back, Todd Sibley, has committed to play at Pittsburgh, whereas their quarterback, Danny Clark, a former quarterback commit for Ohio State, he'll be taking his talents to Michigan State. Jackson to Abel, cross half court. Lead is up to 2. Joey, jumper, that's no good. Cox battling for the ball, and now Cox will be whistled for a foul as he knocked down Nathan Bauer-Malone while trying to go for the basketball. It's now the second foul of the half here for Capital. Mount Union 40, Capital 38, 16:56 remaining in the second half. DeAllen Jackson brings it across half court. He's being guarded by Tyrell Jackson, no relation. Kakura, three-pointer, and it's good. Kakura was left all by his lonesome that time. He was able to easily knock that one down from the top of the arc. Mount Union now trying to go with the press. Jackson thought about a three. Back outside to Abel. Abel will now slow things up a little bit here. 15 on the shot clock. Jackson, right wing, over to Abel. Bouncing it over to Joey Weingartner. Weingartner has to get it to someone. Abel with 5 on the shot clock. Weingartner will now jack up a three. And that is no good as Cox trying to dig it out for Capital. Jamison trying to get the rebound, and now a timeout is granted to Mount Union. Only a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it right here at the Cap Center. 16:08 remaining in the second half. Mount Union leading Capital 43-38. Quick check of the stats here. Tyrell Jackson still leading Capital in the scoring with 12 points. J.J. Kakura with an equal amount of points scored in this game. He's got 12 as well. It's now 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from the three-point range. And Mount Union all of a sudden has really picked it up offensively. They are now shooting 50% from the field and 4 of 8 from three-point range. Also good for 50%. So now Mount Union back with the basketball. Nathan Bauer-Malone will inbound the ball from the baseline. And he'll get it into DeAllen Jackson. Jackson so far with 6 points, 4 rebounds as well, being guarded by Tyrell. Jackson trying to move to his right, and boy, that was a great pass on the inside to Thomas Mason. Jackson was sandwiched between 2 Capital defenders, yet he was able to find a way to zip the pass over to Mason. And now Mount Union is stretching this lead. Turnover for Capital, fed ahead to Jackson. Jackson will lay it up and in. The lead for Mount Union is now up to 9, 47-38, 15:32 left to play in the second half. Do the Crusaders have a response here offensively? Jamison over to Weingartner. Now it's to Abel. Abel directing traffic. Now to Weingartner. Back to Abel. Bounced on over to Jackson. Jackson inside to Cox. Cox gets inside to Jamison. Jamison not able to finish the layup, and the rebound is taken by Mount Union. DeAllen Jackson, three-pointer. That's no good. Tip back out. Weingartner chases it down for Capital. He's going up the floor, and Weingartner loses it. It was batted from his hand by Bauer Malone. But luckily Capital will maintain possession as Schreck will check back in. Meanwhile, Weingartner will take a seat on the bench for Capital. Mount Union 47, Capital 38. Mount Union so far has outscored Capital in this half 18-8. Jamison receives the inbounds pass. Now back outside to Abel. Jamison trying to figure out what to do here. Back outside to Abel on the left wing. Now it's over to Schreck. 17 on the shot clock. Jackson trying to drive. Tries to get by Kakura. And the jumper won't go, but he was fouled, so now a foul will be called against Kakura. And so now Tyrell Jackson will head to the free throw line. Kakura was saying, well, what am I supposed to do there? So Jackson will head to the free throw line once again. Capital needing points here as Jackson is able to knock down his first free throw attempt. He's now got 13 in this game. One more free throw upcoming for the senior from Dublin, and the second is good. Lead now for Mount Union 7, 47-40 with 14:43 left to play in the second half. Jackson will bring it across the timeline for Mount Union. It's to Griffin, now back in the hands of Griffin. Over to Jackson. Now it's in the hands of Kakura. Kakura try to drive on in. Jumper might have been partially blocked as Abel is able to strip it away from Jackson. They're going to give it to Capital. So now Abel will inbound it to Tyrell Jackson. Capital trailing Mount Union 47-40. So a lot of time left in this ball game, however. 14-15 to be more specific. Abel. He's at the top of the arc to Jackson. Now it's over to Abel. Now to Schreck. Schreck. Left wing. Inside. Cox trying to get it inside, but he saved it to Mount Union. Kakura now speeding up the floor for the Purple Raiders, and Jackson, holy moly. He was able to get that off the glass and in despite a slew of hands trying to get in his way. Mercy, this guy is something else in the open court. Mount Union 49, Capital 40. 13:40 left to play in the second half. Abel to Cox. Cox to Jackson. Jackson for three. Tyrell not able to knock it down, and the rebound taken by Andrew Francisconi. Things starting to slip away a little bit here for Capital. They need a defensive stop here, and they need, more importantly, some more points. So far, Mount Union has outscored them 20-10 here in the second half. Kakura, top of the arc. Now it's over to Griffin. 6 on the shot clock. Jackson all by himself in the corner, and he knocks it down. The lead is now to 12. And now a timeout is going to be taken by Capital. We'll step aside as well. 12:56 remain in the second half. Mount Union 52, Capital 40. This is your home for Crusaders men's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
OSU Sports Medicine is a proud supporter of Crusader student-athletes by providing sports health services for Capital University athletics and student health services. Through the work and care of team physicians and athletic trainers, it's the team behind your team. For all fans, if you're looking to improve your physical performance, recover from an injury, or stay active for a lifetime, the experts at Ohio State Sports Medicine are there for you. Visit sportsmedicine.osu.edu or call 366-4332.
12:56 remain in the second half. And so far, things are not working out for Capital here. They find themselves trailing Mount Union 52-40. With 12:56 left to play in the second half, I'm Charlie Danis. This is a presentation of men's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. We hope that you are having a happy Saturday so far here on the 14th of January, 2017. It was a back-and-forth affair in the first half, but the second half has clearly belonged to Mount Union. They've outscored Capital 23-10 so far in the second half of play. So now Capital will look for a response here as Abel will inbound it from the near side. He'll get it into Schreck. Abel. Top of the arc now over to Schreck. Schreck to Boone. Boone, turnaround J, is good. Cuts the Mount Union lead to 10, 52-42. 12:40 left to play in the second half. Capital needs to buckle down here defensively. They had a couple key blocks in that first half. That same intensity has to reappear for the Crusaders. Jackson has his pocket picked by Abel. And Tyrell Jackson will now bring it up the floor for Capital. Nice defensive work by Dan Abel. They'll try to go inside to Cox, but it'll go off the hands. And now let's see here. Jamison and Weingartner will come back in for Capital. Tyrell Jackson, he'll take a seat along with Caleb Cox. So right now it is Schreck, Weingartner, Boone, Abel, and Jamison out there on the floor for the Crusaders. Schreck will inbound it for the baseline. He'll get it into Jamison. Jamison now back in the hands of Abel. Abel to Schreck. Schreck into Jamison. And Jamison's pass batted up in the air and another turnover. Jackson back outside. Three-pointer. That's no good. It's chased down by Abel. Abel, he'll now race up the floor. Dan is going to have his shot rejected by Jackson, and that should have been goaltending. And now a traveling violation will be called against J.J. Kakura. Jackson went up there with the block, but the ball, in my estimation, was coming down as he was making the block. That should have been an automatic 2 points right there. Instead, Capital will just inbound it here offensively. Abel, inbounding it from the near side into Nate Boone. Abel, near the top of the arc, to Schreck. Schreck over to Abel. 20 on the shot clock. Boone to Abel. Abel, three. Dan knocks it down from the left wing. And boy, did Capital need that. Mount Union, 52. Capital, 45. Approaching 11 and a half to play in the second half. See Allen Jackson gets it on over, and a loose ball. Jamison, now it's tipped out of bounds by Nate Boone as they were defending on the play. Jeff Foreman trying to drive on in there for Mount Union. 16 remaining on the shot clock. Jackson, DeAllen that is, will be the trigger man offensively for Mount Union. Jackson trying to drive on in and has his shot blocked by Jamison out of bounds, and they will give it to Mount Union. 11 on the shot clock. Boy, between Tyler Jamison and Caleb Cox, both of those guys very strong interior defenders. Kakura being guarded by Schreck. Kakura trying to make a move. Jumper, no good. Rebound, and now a foul will be called against Mount Union. Looks like they're going to call a foul against DeAllen Jackson. And now a timeout is going to be taken by Mount Union. We will step aside as well. 11-11 remaining in the second half. It is Mount Union 52, Capital 45. This is your home for Crusaders men's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
The Rusty Bucket Restaurant and Tavern in downtown Bexley is the perfect spot for eats and drinks for parents, kids, college students, and grandparents. Whether you're gearing up for your favorite team's game or just in need of something delicious off of our diverse food and drink menu, the Rusty Bucket delivers a warm welcome and a good time for all. The Rusty Bucket is located at 2158 East Main Street, or you can find us and our many other Columbus area locations online at myrustybucket.com. The Rusty Bucket, proud supporter of Capital Crusader Athletics.
11-11 remaining in the second half. Capital trailing Mount Union 52-45 at the moment. Mount Union led by as much as 12. That was back at the 13:05 mark, but within these last couple minutes or so, Capital has regained the mojo, so to speak. They're now down by 7. Capital looking to cut into this lead a little bit more. They will have the ball on offense. Dan Abel, the freshman from Brecksville, Ohio. My, how well he has played this season. And he's got 9 points in this game today. He'll bring it across the timeline. Boone, top of the arc. Now it's over to Weingartner. Weingartner on the right wing. He'll dribble to his left. Weingartner to Schreck. Schreck over to Weingartner. Joey for three. Joey not able to knock it down. It's been a quiet day for Weingartner as the rebound is taken by Jalo Niamki. They now go inside to Niamki. Niamki trying to back Jamison down. And the shot is good. Niamki, a very impressive post player. A sophomore out of Sagamore Hills, Ohio. The lead for Mount Union is now back up to 9. 10-19 remaining. Schreck to Abel. Abel, right wing, over to Weingartner. Weingartner to Abel. Abel trying to create some space. He'll launch a three. That's no good. Ball tipped up in the air, and Jamison grabs the offensive rebound for Capital. Abel on the left wing. Fresh shot clock for Capital as we are under 10. Schreck lines up a three. No good. Jamison with another offensive board. Schreck will now drive on in and score. The lead cut to 8. Let's see now if Capital can string together a couple of defensive stops here. 54-47. Mount Union with the lead. 9:33 remaining in the second half. Jackson. Jumper. No good. Abel with the rebound for Capital. Dan will bring it across the timeline. He loses it, but luckily Nate Boone is right there to scoop it back up for Capital. Now Boone dribbling around. Jumper. He got hacked. Francisconi hit him on the arm, and now Nate Boone will head to the free throw line as Capital will look to chip away even further at this Mount Union lead. 9:17 remaining in regulation. Capital down by 7. Boone's first free throw is up and good. Boone, a 6'7" freshman from Columbus, as Caleb Cox comes back in for Capital, as does Jaden O'Neal. Also coming in for Mount Union, Tanner Slack, 6'4" freshman out of New Concord, Ohio. This might be the first time that we've seen him all day. Boone, second free throw, no good, and the rebound is taken by Jalo Niamki. Mount Union 54, Capital 48. 9:06 left to play in regulation. Bauer Malone gets it on over to Niamki. Niamki into the hands of Francisconi. Bauer Malone now on the left wing. They'll go inside. Ball tipped away, and it will be Mount Union ball, although great defense on the inside. Cox, he has had his hands all over the ball today as he tipped that ball away. Bauer Malone will inbound it for the baseline. Francisconi, jumper, and he'll knock it down from 10 feet. The lead is now back up to 8 for Mount Union. 56-48. Purple Raiders with the lead. Jane O'Neal over to Jackson. Jackson to Weingartner. Weingartner near the top of the arc. Now over to O'Neal. O'Neal over to Tyrell Jackson. Now over to O'Neal. O'Neal to Weingartner. Boone has it tipped up in the air, but he's able to maintain control. 6 on the shot clock. Boone back outside. O'Neal for 3. Jay knocks it down from the left corner. The lead now cut to 5. 56-51. 8:15 left to play in regulation. Capital is not going away. Jeff Foreman trying to drive. Now back outside to Bauer Malone. Malone being guarded by O'Neal. Bauer Malone gets by O'Neal. Now has to go inside, but Cox tips it away, and then the ball is recollected, but then a traveling violation is called against Cox. So even if he was able to maintain control with the hands, the feet would not cooperate with Cox. A turnover there for Capital. Mount Union 56, Capital 51, 7:54 remaining in regulation. And now a blocking foul is going to be called against O'Neal as he was defending against a driving Bauer Malone. Only the third team foul on Capital, also 3 team fouls on Mount Union this half. Bauer Malone handling the basketball for Mount Union, gets it into Niamke. Niamke will now dribble forward, and now a traveling violation will be called against Niamke. 7:41 left to play Mount Union 56, Capital 51. O'Neal getting some extended playing time here at point guard as they attempt to get Dan Auble rested here for the final stretch. Boone on the right wing, passing it off to O'Neal. O'Neal over to Weingarter. Joey for three. Joey not able to knock it down, and the rebound somehow collected by Tanner Slack. Bauer Malone now for Mount Union. Ahead, Cox. And a foul will be called against Cox as Jeff Foreman will go to the free throw line. 14th foul on Capital this half. Third foul on Cox. And now Foreman, the junior out of Mentor, Ohio, will head to the free throw line. First free throw is good. Mount Union lead up to 6. Will it be up to 7? No, it will not. Foreman misses it, and Cox grabs the rebound for Capital. 57-51, Mount Union with the lead. 7:05 remaining in regulation. Tyrell Jackson to Weingartner. Over to O'Neal. O'Neal to Cox. Cox to Jackson. Jackson dribbling around inside. Cox. Oh, and he almost got the bucket to go with a foul, but a foul was called, so now Cox will head to the free throw line. That was a great pump fake on the right block by Cox as he got a defender up in the air and was trying to secure the contact. Cox today, 8 points, 4 rebounds. First free throw is no good. He'll have one more attempt at the foul line. Kakura, Jackson, Thomas Mason, and Miles Griffin checked back in for Mount Union. One more free throw upcoming for Cox. It's good. Mount Union 57, Capital 52, 6:49 remaining in regulation. Nathan Bauer Malone inside. Griffin back out to Kakura. 17 on the shot clock. Kakura drives on in, and the floater is good for Kakura. Mount Union 59, Capital 52. 6:28 left to play in regulation. Capital needs to go on a run here. Time is becoming more and more precious. Jackson thought about a three. Driving inside to Cox. Jumper, no good. And the rebound dug out. Bauer Malone speeding ahead, and he scores. The lead is to 9 for Mount Union, and now a timeout taken by Capital. We will step aside once again. 5:58 remaining in regulation. Mount Union 61, Capital 52. This is your home for Crusaders men's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Just as fresh as its pizza, Donato's is fresh off of its 50th anniversary and still serving the Columbus area with pride. Now introducing online ordering, Donato's Pizza is ready for your order at any time from anywhere. Donato's also features a gluten-free menu and will even cater your next big event. Donato's Pizza in Bexley is located at 2800 East Main Street and is available by phone at 614-235-4477. Donato's Pizza, proud supporter of Capital Crusader Athletics.
Back here at the Capital Center, 5:58 left to play in regulation. Mount Union leading Capital 61-52 on the men's side. On the women's side, well, things for Dixie Jeffers' crew do not look pretty at the moment. Capital trailing in that game 16-2 with still 2:28 left to play in the first quarter. Capital has shot 1 of 9 from the field in that game. Meanwhile, Mount Union 5 of 12 from the field. The Purple Raiders have gotten a boost seemingly from everybody. They've had 7 different players score at least 1 point in that game so far. So a big hole to climb out of for Dixie Jeffers' crew up in Alliance. Meanwhile, back here in Bexley, Damon Goodwin's crew, they're down by 9. They have played Mount Union exceptionally well. But the problem is Mount Union is starting to pull away here. So now Abel to Jackson to Weingartner. And Joey Weingartner has got to get going here. Weingartner over to Abel. G. Ahaya has checked in for Capital, by the way. Maybe he can provide a boost. Abel over to Jackson. Jackson, almost got stolen by DeAllen Jackson. 2 on the shot clock. Tyrell puts up a shot. That's no good. Off the rim, and Miles Griffin grabs the rebound for Mount Union. Not a well-executed offensive possession there for Capital, and now they got to buckle down here and play some D. Griffin to Kakura. Kakura trying to drive on in. Jumper is good, and Kakura, he's starting to be the closer here for Mount Union here as of late. Got another bucket. He's got 16 points on the afternoon. Largest lead, actually second largest lead, I should say, for Mount Union. They're up by 11, 63-52. 4:55 remain in the second half. G will line up a 3, and G will knock it down. 8-point lead now for Mount Union. 4:43 left to play in the second half. More made shots like that and more defensive stops, and Capital can get themselves back into this ball game. Thomas Mason to Kakura. Kakura thought about a jumper. Gets it inside. Back to Kakura. 10 on the shot clock. Kakura, baseline. Has it swatted away, but Weingartner's going to be called for a reach-in foul. So now Kakura will head to the free throw line. On the season, Kakura, an excellent free throw shooter. 61 of 69. 88.4%. That's about as automatic as you can get. And now they're cleaning up a wet spot to the left of us. Looks like it has been taken care of now, and Kakura will step to the free throw line. Kakura, a native of Alliance, Ohio, so he didn't have to travel all that far to make his college choice. As the first free throw is good. Kakura now has 17 points in this game. Schreck will check in for Capital. Meanwhile, coming back in for Mount Union will be Andrew Francisconi. One more free throw for Kakura as he attempts to push this Mount Union lead back up to double digits. The shot is up, and it is good. 10-point lead for Mount Union, 65-55. 4:23 left to play in regulation. Capital has got to get things going here right now. Abel, Schreck on the right wing, over to G. G to Jackson. Jackson over to Abel. Abel splits 2 defenders, back outside. Jackson outside to Abel. Abel to Jackson again. Jackson step back 3. No good. Rebound by Kakura. Boy, you just kind of get the feeling that Capital right now is running out of gas. Francisconi over to DeAllen Jackson. Jackson, 14 on the shot clock. And right now, Mount Union is bleeding clock. They're taking their time in the half court. Jackson, Jay, no good. And it's out of bounds off of Mount Union. The ball will be awarded to Capital. 3:29 left to play in regulation. The lead for Mount Union is 10. And now Weingartner will check in for Tyrell Jackson as Tyrell will get a breather. A shooter has got to emerge here for Capital here in the waning minutes. Abel. Cross half court, inside. Cox, and Cox got fouled. Stops the clock, allows Capital to get some points up on the scoreboard as Cox will head to the charity stripe once again. He's got 9 points and 4 rebounds. Cox bounces the ball a couple times. Shot is up, and it is good. 9-point lead. Let's see if Caleb can make it an 8-point advantage here for Mount Union. Capital has 2 timeouts remaining. Both teams with 5 fouls as well. Cox knocking down the second free throw. 8-point ball game, 65-57. Defensive stop, very much needed here for Capital. DeAllen Jackson loses the ball, and Weingartner comes up with it. He'll feed it ahead to G. G will drive on in, count the bucket, and a foul, as Kakura picked up the foul from Mount Union. Now things starting to get a little more interesting here at the Capitol Center. An alert play by Weingartner to poke the ball away. Even more alert to feed it ahead to G. Yahaya, who finished at the rim. He'll try to complete the three-point play after this quick timeout. Mount Union 65, Capital 59, with 3:12 remaining in the second half. This is your home for Crusaders men's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Dill's Greenhouse is a local family business dedicated to offering the best shopping experience and honest prices for your gardening needs. If you're in need of annuals, perennials, vegetable plants, or any variety of gardening tools and resources, Dill's Greenhouse is more than happy to get you on the right path. Dill's Greenhouse is located at 5800 Rager Road in Groveport, Ohio, and is open 7 days a week. Visit them online for more information at dillsgreenhouse.net. Dill's Greenhouse. Only nature does it better.
3:12 remaining in regulation. Mount Union 65, Capital 59, G. Yahaya. In mere moments, we'll have a chance to cut that Mount Union lead to 5. A little bit of a reset for you here. Mount Union now with 16 fouls. The next foul will put Capital in the 1-and-1 from the foul line. Capital still with 2 timeouts. Mount Union with 3. The possession arrow currently favors Capital. So now G. Yahaya will step to the free throw line. Yahaya today, 5 points, trying to make it 6 with this made foul shot. Yahaya, a left-handed shooter. A staggered stance. Shot is up and no good for G. And the rebound is taken by Thomas Mason. So it's a 6-point ball game, but still a 2-possession game here. But defense needs to ratchet it up a little bit here for Capital here. Bauer Malone being guarded by G. Yahaya. G gets whistled for a reach-in. And now that'll be the 16th foul on Capital. So now one more foul for either team, and we can start factoring in free throws for the end of this game. Francisconi will get it in to Bauer Malone successfully. Bauer Malone being guarded by Tyrell Jackson at the moment. 25 seconds on the shot clock. Malone outside to Thomas Mason. Now in the hands of DeAllen Jackson. Jackson being guarded by Dan Auble. Jackson, left wing, gets a screen. Jumper. No, a pass inside. And there was no one in particular as Tyrell Jackson comes up with a steal. 2.5 to play in regulation. Capital's got to come away with points right here. Jackson is looking for some help. He's pleading for some help. Now it's over to Auble. Auble on the top of the arc to Schreck. Inside to Cox. Back outside. Schreck. Jumper. No good. Battle for the ball, and Bauer Malone comes away with it for Mount Union. That jumper was woefully short for Schreck. Weingartner will be checking in for Capital. Approaching 2 minutes left to play in regulation. Mount Union 65. Capital 59. Bauer Gorman gets it inside. Off the hands of Jackson. 3 and knocked down from the corner by Francisconi. And that, unless something magical happens here, could be the dagger for Capital. G along the baseline. Gets it to go. Capital not dead yet. Approaching 1.5 now. Mount Union 68, Capital 61. Capital might need to think about fouling here. Still attempting to play defense. Goes inside. Wild shot. Jackson gets the offensive board, however. Now Capital has got to think about fouling here. Jackson will drive on in. Off the glass and in. Capital now down by 9. Auble needs to get up the court in a hurry here. Cross half court. He's on the right wing. Auble will launch a 3. No good. Rebound by Kakura. And Kakura will now get fouled by Abel, as that will stop the clock with 52.3 seconds. But the way Kakura shoots free throws, that is the last guy that you want to put at the foul line in this type of situation. Schreck will check out. Weingartner will check back in. Well, it was a valiant effort by Capital today, but credit Mount Union. They had response after response after response. Even after De'Allen Jackson got off to a slow start, he ends up having 15 points today. And J.J. Kakura, he routinely has great games against Capital. Today, no exception. With that made free throw, he's now got 19. He is a closer extraordinaire if there ever was one. Second free throw up for Kakura. It's good. The lead is now 11. Jackson will bring it across half court. G, three-pointer. That's good. And a timeout will promptly be taken by Capital. They have one remaining. The lead is now 8. 72-64, 44.1 seconds to go. Capital, in this type of situation, is going to have to go with the steal first, but if that does not work out, then they're going to have to foul, and they're going to have to try to prolong this game as best they can. It would help extremely if the ball did not end up in the hands of Kakura, who you know is lights out from the free throw line. They're going to have to make other guys make those clutch jumpers, or free throw shots, I should say, for Mount Union. Mount Union shooting 53% from the field today, 6 of 12 from three-point range. Capital ends up shooting 10 of 26 from three-point range today, 38.5%, although you just hope that they'll get a couple more opportunities to shoot some more three-pointers. In the meantime, let's see here. Capital with Cox, Yahaya, O'Neal, Jackson, and Schreck out there on the floor defensively. For Mount Union, De'Allen Jackson, Kakura, Nathan Bauer-Malone is out there along with Thomas Mason. Looks like Miles Griffin as well. And they will get it in to Jackson. They'll get fouled by O'Neal. 42.9 seconds remain. Abel and Weingartner, they'll be the substitutes. Coach Goodwin going with some offense here. And so now Jackson will head to the foul line. And Jackson, he's pretty good at the foul line too, an 84% free throw shooter. Free throw is good. One more for Jackson. Trying to make it a 10-point lead. And he makes it. Cox to Jackson. Tyrell will bring it across half court. Tyrell, he'll go down the lane. Off the glass and in. 8-point ball game, 36.1 to go. He'll get it into Kakura. Kakura. And Kakura, oh man, almost lost it out of bounds that time. But they'll give the ball to Mount Union. And now a timeout is going to be taken by the Purple Raiders. 32.9 seconds remain. Mount Union 74, Capital 66. Capital needs they need a miracle here at this point. They need big plays defensively. While we have a moment, Dixie Jeffers' crew is kind of righted the ship a little bit up at Alliance. We're down 11-2 in the first quarter, but now they have battled back. They trail Mount Union 20-13 with 8:20 left to play in the second quarter. Leading scorer for Capital, Emily Ondo. She's got 7 points on 2 of 4 shooting from the field. Also perfect 1 of 1 from three-point range and 2 of 2 from the foul line. By the way, folks, coming up, we'll have the Peking Dynasty postgame show for you coming up after today's game. We will go through the final stats, get you caught up with all of these scores around the OAC and much more as we will put a bow on this game. That is the Peking Dynasty postgame show. It will follow today's matchup. Mount Union 74, Capital 66, 32.9 seconds to go. Capital has 8 fouls to their name. Mount Union with 6. Ball in the possession of Mount Union. Bauer Malone will inbound it from the far side, and they will get it into Kakura. Kakura will get bumped immediately and fouled. 30.4 seconds remain in the ball game. And now Kakura will head to the foul line. Auble and Weingartner will check in for Schreck and O'Neal. And once again, Kakura will head to the foul line. One more point. Well, actually, I should take that back. Kakura's got 20 points in this game. Looking to add to the total right here. First free throw is no good. And the rebound taken by Cox. Now it's to head to Jackson. Tyrell. Boot scooting it up the floor. Over to G. G will drive. G off the glass and in. They'll get it into Jackson. And they will foul Jackson immediately. So now De'Allen Jackson will head to the foul line once again. Actually, I take that back. Nathan Bauer Malone will head to the free throw line. Bauer Malone on the season. He is, a 91% free throw shooter. But he misses the first. Caleb Cox checks out for Capital. Brennan Shukran will check in for the Crusaders. Second free throw, no good. He missed both. Now it's ahead to Tyrell Jackson. 16 on the shot clock. Jackson to Shukran. Shukran will probably launch a three. That's no good. Tyrell gets it back, and Tyrell got fouled. 10.4 seconds to go. This will be the front end of a 1-and-1, but if Tyrell is able to make these 2 free throws, that will cut the lead to 4. 10.4 seconds remain in regulation. There is still a glimmer of hope for Capital here. So now Cox will check back in for Capital along with Jaden O'Neal. A little bit of defensive support there for Capital. Tyrell, you got to make this free throw. First shot, good. Second one coming up for Tyrell. Jackson with 16 points. Actually make that 17 points. Shot is up. It's good for Jackson. The lead for Mount Union has been cut to 4. Bauer Malone trying to get it in, and he'll get it into Kakura. Kakura will be fouled. 7.7 seconds remain, and Kakura will head to the free throw line. That will put Mount Union here in the double bonus, so Kakura will have a guaranteed 2 foul shots here as he attempts to lengthen this lead a little bit. Kakura, first free throw. It's good. That puts the lead up to 5. And now Chukran will come back in for Capital. Cox will check out. One more free throw for Kakura. Misses it. Chukran with the rebound. Ahead to Tyrell Jackson. 5 seconds. Tyrell will launch a 3, and it is no good. Rebound taken by Jackson. And that is your ball game. Well, Capital put up a tremendous effort today against Mount Union, but in the end, it is the Purple Raiders defeating Capital 75-70 here at the Capital Center. Please stay with us. Coming up, we'll have the Peking Dynasty postgame show. We'll go over the final stats and also talk with Capital head coach Damon Goodwin. Peking Dynasty postgame show again. Mount Union, 5-70. This is your home for Crusaders men's basketball. Sports Network.
With 14 TVs to watch your favorite team or the next big event, Planks Cafe and Pizzeria in German Village is ready for you and your group today. Plenty of free parking, free Wi-Fi, banquet rooms for private parties, and daily specials. What more reason do you need to visit Planks Cafe and Pizzeria? Planks is located at 743 Parsons Avenue and has been serving the Columbus community since 1939. Planks is on the web at plankscafe.com or available by phone at 614-443-6251. Planks Cafe and Pizzeria is a proud supporter of Crusader Athletics.
When looking for great food at low price, be sure to visit Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan right near the Capital University campus. Peking Dynasty has a large selection of Chinese food and sushi, along with great-tasting chicken and beef selections that can please any appetite. In addition, Capital University students receive discounts with a valid ID any day of the week. That's Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan right near the Capital campus, where we are proud to say, Go Cap!
OSU Sports Medicine is a proud supporter of Crusader student-athletes by providing sports health services for Capital University athletics and student health services. Through the work and care of team physicians and athletic trainers, it's the team behind your team. For all fans, if you're looking to improve your physical performance, recover from an injury, or stay active for a lifetime, the experts at Ohio State Sports Medicine are there for you. Visit sportsmedicine.osu.edu or call 366-4332.
Welcome into the Peking Dynasty postgame show. A final from the Capitol Center today as Mount Union triumphs over Capital 75-70. Let's now get you the final stats of this game, brought to you by the CU Society of Sports Management. First, for the Purple Raiders, leading scorer for Mount Union today, J.J. Kakura. He had 21 points to go along with 6 rebounds. He shot 7 of 11 from the field, 2 of 3 from three-point range, and 5 of 7 from the foul line. 7 points for De'Allen Jackson, the leading scorer in the OAC. He had 17 points to go along with 6 rebounds, 6 of 15 from the field, 1 of 3 from three-point range. Other scores for Mount Union this afternoon: Thomas Mason with 8 points, Nathan Bauer Malone with 6, Miles Griffin with 3, 9 points for Andrew Francisconi, 5 points for Jeff Foreman, and 6 points for Jalo Niamki. As a team, Mount Union shot 53% from the field. They shot an even 50% from three-point range, 6 of 12 from beyond the arc, and they were also 15 of 21 from the foul line, good for 71.4%. As for Capital, the leading scorer for the Crusaders today was Tyrell Jackson. He had 18 points on 5 of 13 shooting from the field, 2 of 8 from three-point range, and 6 of 6 from the foul line. Caleb Cox had 11 points on 4 of 6 shooting. He had 5 rebounds to go along with a couple of blocks and a couple of steals. Tyler Jamison with 3 points on the day. Dan Abel had 9. Joey Weingartner had 8. Austin Schreck had 3. G. Yahaya comes off the bench and has 12 points. He goes 5 of 5 from the floor, 2 of 2 from three-point range, 0 of 1 from the foul line, and 3 points each for Jaden O'Neal and Nate Boone. The Crusaders shot 41% from the field, 10 of 28 from three-point range, good for 36%. And they shot 12 of 17 from the free throw line, good for 71%. Capital out-rebounds Mount Union, 36-29 overall in the game. Turnovers, Capital 14, Mount Union 12. Assists, Capital had 16 as opposed to only 12 for Mount Union. 9 steals for Capital as opposed to 8 for Mount Union in this game. And some other statistics of note: Capital's bench outscores Mount Union 21-20. Second chance points in favor of Capital, 10-6 in that particular category. The points off turnovers pretty much even. Mount Union with 9, Capital with 7. This was a close ball game. Capital was up by 1 at the end of the first half, but Mount Union ends up with the win. They outscore Capital 46-40 in the second half of play. It's now time to name today's player of the game. This is brought to you by Donato's Pizza. And today we're going to give the award to J.J. Kakura. He has been a Capital killer in the past. Kakura, 21 points on 7 of 11 shooting from the field, 2 of 3 from three-point range, and also 5 of 7 from the foul line. He also had 6 rebounds, and he also had a couple of assists as well. J.J. Kakura, our player of the game, brought to you by Donato's Pizza. In mere moments, we are going to be joined by Capital head coach Damon Goodwin. In fact, I've just been told that he is advancing his way up the hallway. It looks like that he will be joining us here this afternoon to give us his thoughts on the loss to Mount Union. And he has just walked into the broadcast booth. Well, Coach, Tough ball game. You played a good first half. Mount Union pulls away there in the second half. They got sharpshooters all over the team. What do you think of your team's overall performance today?
Well, outside of about the first 5-6 minutes of the second half, I thought we were pretty good. Unfortunately, the game's 40 minutes, not 34 minutes, and we weren't ready to play coming out of halftime. That cost us the game today.
Tyrell Jackson ends up having 18 points on the day, but I know, especially with Tyrell and Joey Weingarter, they're able to pile up the points, but they turned in the volume shooters there a little bit, kind of helter-skelter there this afternoon.
It was. It was not a good effort by us. Offensively, we shot a poor percentage. We've been shooting almost 50% for the year. We shot 40 today. We gave up 53 to them, and we're just not going to win games when that happens.
I've noticed that Caleb Cox, ever since he came back from injury, he's been playing lights out there in the post. I really think that you got a good pairing down there in the post with Jamison and Cox. What do you make of Cox's performance, considering that he's only played a couple games this season?
Well, he's had 2 really good games, and he's had 2 really bad games. So we're hoping that that evens out a little bit more, and he continues to recover. He's not 100%. He's still recovering from a knee injury and not playing for 2 months, and that takes some time. And when he gets it going, I think that'll help us a ton. But our guards need to shoot it better than we shot today. I'm looking at this, and we were 9 for 32 from our guards today. That we are a 3-guard rotation. We're just not going to win games when that happens.
Before I let you go, Coach, it doesn't get any easier for you. You got Marietta coming up on Wednesday. So what's the plan going forward?
Well, the plan is we're going to do what we do. We're going to play man defense, and we're going to try to control the boards like we've done most of the year, and we just got to be better offensively. We get to have a chance against good teams, and we believe Mount's a very good team and Marietta's a very good team. We need to shoot better than we did today. All
right, Coach. Thanks so much for joining us. Head Coach Damon Goodwin joining us here during the Peking Dynasty postgame show. His Crusaders fall to Mount Union today by a final of 75-70. Before we leave the airwaves today, folks, we want to get you updated with some scores around the OAC, and what better place to start than Alliance, Ohio. The women's team for Capital taking on Mount Union today. They're at the half in that game, and right now it's Mount Union leading Capital 27-18 in that game. Dixie Jeffers' crew got off to a very, very slow start. They were outscored by Mount Union 20-8 in the first quarter alone, but they've kind of come back. They've kind of made it a closer game. Emily Ondo leading Capital in scoring with 7 points. Meanwhile, for the Purple Raiders in that game, there's been a multitude of players that have gotten in to the act offensively. 9 different players have scored at least 1 point in that game for Mount Union. Let's hope the Dixie Jeffers crew is able to rebound in that game and to try to come up with a better effort in the second half, perhaps put together a little bit of a rally. Still plenty of basketball left to be played in Alliance this afternoon. Let's now get you some scores around the OAC. This is brought to you by Jersey Mike's Subs and Sandwiches. Muskingum falls to Ohio Northern today, 91-85. John Carroll playing host to Wilmington today. And it looks like John Carroll is on its way to another victory. The Blue Streaks leading Wilmington 86-77 with 5 seconds to go in the second half of that game. 19:25 remaining in the second half. So they've just started the second half at Baldwin Wallace. The Yellow Jackets leading Otterbein 31-30 in that affair. And finally, Heidelberg is on the road today. They're at Marietta, who is going to be Capital's next opponent. More on that game in just a moment. 23rd ranked Marietta leading Heidelberg in that one 46-30. They're just about to start the second half of that game up in Marietta. And finally, some women's basketball scores for you around the OAC as Capital tries to climb the standings within the OAC. Other games going on across the Ohio Athletic Conference. They're at the half at Ohio Northern. The Polar Bears leading Muskingum 45-42. They're just about to start the second half at Heidelberg. The Berg trailing Marietta 34-31 in that one. They're also at the half at Wilmington. The Quakers with a 50-27 lead over John Carroll. And as we mentioned, Capital trailing Mount Union 27-18. They are at the half of that game. By the way, one other final to pass along to you. This was a game that actually took place on Friday night. Baldwin Wallace, the women's team for Baldwin Wallace, that is, triumphed over Otterbein 66-45 on Friday evening. So with the loss today, my the men's team for Capital. This will lower them in the OAC standings a little bit, as this will drop their record to 9-6 overall, 4-4 within conference play. And as I talked about with Coach Goodwin, it doesn't get any easier whatsoever for Capital going forward. They have to welcome in a top 25 Marietta team on Wednesday night. We will have that game for you here at the Capital Center here on the Capital Sports Network. That game is scheduled for a 7 o'clock tip, which means that we will get things started with the Jimmy John's pregame show beginning at 6:30 p.m. Well, this is Charlie Danis saying one final time. The final score today from the Capital Center, Mount Union 75, Capital 70. Please join us on Wednesday night when the men's team plays host to the Pioneers of Marietta. Tip-off scheduled for 7 o'clock. Pregame show scheduled for 6:30. Until then, everybody, we'll see you.